Friends and family, now with 60 seconds of an improvised speech, we have Alex Knight discussing why aliens probably think that humans are weird.
Our bodies are terrifying. If you had never seen one before, where they're all hairless, soft bags of water, sometimes hairy. I have a lot of hair on my shoulders and back that I've been dealing with. Whenever I get my hair cut, she shaves that hair here, but only down to like here. And then when I play volleyball, sometimes I want to take my shirt off, but then there's like a line of hair. And I just like, when I accept it and I have my shirt off and I'm cool with my body, I feel so awesome. But then I get insecure and I don't feel awesome. And so I am a powerful person, Sarah. Aliens love us. We're so sexy.
Perfect. Good job.
Great. Now 60 seconds, just a stand-up riff about why we need a reality show about squirrels. Sorry.
Absolutely. Sorry about that. Do you want to time me or do you want me to?
Oh, yeah, I got it. Go.
Frankly, I'm surprised there hasn't been a reality show about squirrels done yet, because they're cheap labor. I think at this point now, the creation of content is basically anybody who's willing to do it for free and then earn their position to make money from it. So if that's true for people, it should be truer for squirrels. I think we'd be able to get the same level of drama, the same kind of full emotion that you get out of any Bravo show, out of a couple squirrels fighting over some nuts, you know? Like, I've seen them in New York. Those I've had squirrels scream at me, and I can only imagine what they'd scream at each other over glasses of wine the way that the housewives do.
20 seconds.
Right. I think that even if we dive more into the squirrel world, we don't have to make them like humans. We could just accept them as they are and look into the drama that happens with them. I know for a fact my cat is obsessed with it already. And so if I can just tap into whatever it is that my cat
3
likes,
seconds.
I'll like it too. We got to have one.
Scene. Oh, yeah, I call scene at the end of my stuff.
Yeah.
That's like baked in.
I give you the light. That's what I do.
Yeah, give me the light.
Awesome.
No, they would not be more. They would be more expensive because you got to pay for like.
Oh, the handlers.
Proper treatment. If
Yeah.
you were doing your squirrel show in the '90s, yeah, cheap as shit.
Yeah.
You'd lose some. You'd lose a lot.
Like
but
a
now,
full
no
Milo
way.
Notice.
Those squirrels got to be treated better than.
Did you ever see the movie Milo Notice?
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay. Do you know how many Milos and Otises they had to go through in that movie?
Died?
Yes. Truly.
I think I do kind of know this. A few. Like I don't know the number though.
I think it's in the double digits.
Are you kidding?
No. So
Which one died more? What was that? Was a cat and a dog.
You get like a pug and like a tabby cat.
Oh,
so
no.
you get the like mental capacities of an orange tabby cat, but then you also get like the inability to even simply breathe of a pug.
Did they? We don't know.
We don't know.
I was gonna say, did they have like a face one that they didn't really jeopardize for most of the close-ups, and then they had like stunt dogs that they lost?
Fifi or whatever. Yeah. No.
Maybe they learned that the first time.
All right, let's get started.
All right, let's do it.
Welcome to the Goofball Coalition, the podcast that lives where improv and stand-up collide. And now, here's your hosts, Alex Knight and Sarah Kennedy.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Goofball Coalition, a podcast where improv and stand-up unite instead of fight. If you're looking for one where they fight, please see the podcast
Right below.
Yeah, right below the one under this. I'm sure you're getting suggestions for it right now in your algorithm. Anyway, thanks for picking us. We're friendly with each other. My name is Sarah Kennedy.
I'm Alex Knight.
And I'm a stand-up comedian.
I am an improviser.
And we are just exploring the worlds of both and figuring out what we have in common and what we don't. So thanks for being here. Today's show is all about something that happens in most performance worlds, and that's bombing, something that people are constantly asking me about, and I'm assuming people ask you about it a lot too. I often say...
Never.
never.
No one assumes that, yeah.
You're a star, you never mess up. That's totally fair. I think my usual audience for things like this when I'm like putting out hypotheticals is like an Uber driver. Like this is something Uber drivers ask me about constantly.
This is who this is for.
Yeah, exactly.
To answer all those
so
Uber driver
thank you
questions.
to the Uber drivers out there who've been listening to us, who've been following us on Patreon. It's very nice of you to spare your $1 Uber dollar with us a month. Okay, so bombing.
Yes.
Oh, let's discuss what it is. So,
Yes.
If you've never even experienced a comedy show at all,
Is there an Urban Dictionary definition of bombing?
if you can find it, I'm sure they'll have something real fancy for you over on UrbanDictionary.com. I can't even imagine what they would consider it besides the. While
Is
you're
there
looking
a
at
sex
it,
thing?
that's what I would imagine that somebody's made one up for it. But
Bombing?
yeah. You could like there's like love bombing. There's like that kind of like social thing that can happen. So I don't know. While he's looking that up, I'll just give you the basic definition. Bombing is usually when a performance doesn't go the way that you expect it to. It goes poorly. You kind of lose control of what you're doing on stage, and the audience is not getting any enjoyment out of it. So that's usually the definition of bombing.
To fail spectacularly.
Ooh, that's what it says on Urban Dictionary?
Which, the actor totally bombed. He was booed off stage by the crowd. Yeah. So there are, that's it. To fail spectacularly.
Ooh, spectacularly. That makes it
Which, here's the crazy part, improv is all about. Like, that is the job of an improviser, is to fail miserably again and again and again, and to, like, sharpen your craft through that. I mean, same as stand-up, I imagine, but, like, improv for sure. Like, you are, even when you do a scene, you're often, like, the goal is you go until it falls apart. Basically, like, the failure will happen. It's inevitable. It needs to be there almost.
Like, the tension of improv is that people kind of come thinking, this might fail. This might not be really good. And then every time that y'all just knock it out of the park, people are like, wow, I can't believe we even thought that might fail.
In so many ways, I think, I think for a stand-up, it's like the recovery. The bombing's not the bad thing. It's how do you come back from it, or whatever, in the moment or even the next day or whatever it is. That's it, the perseverance of going through it. But again, the lesson of a bomb is way bigger than a good show, like way bigger. You learn so much more, I think.
Yeah, that's interesting. In stand-up, it's so interesting because when you bomb, you can't get off stage with your team and be like, that was rough, because it's all you. So like you really have to kind of be like, what did I do? What did I do that was so different than last time? Because unlike improv, we really, I guess, but that's not true. I said that about improv in the last episode too. But like, you guys follow the same rules and you do the same stuff over and over again. It's just whatever comes out of it is the unique
Similarly,
part.
You guys have a roadmap.
Ours is, I mean, sometimes it's down to like the
timing.
Really, truly, like it'll be down to like the facial expression or the time that you tilt your body. Like Jim Gaffigan's jokes come down to him going sometimes instead of going. And so,
and what level of like body awareness and like everything awareness to be able to have that kind of timing for any of us, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's so cool because you always mention how much improv is acting, and knowing those little gestures and bringing those gestures to your performance are just as important too. So, how come we bomb then? What happens? Why does it not work every single time?
I mean, there's so many reasons, right? But like, we are fallible creatures that are trying to do art. We're trying to make art. And even like we talked about in our opening monologues, like if it's not genuine in some capacity, it's not like, and sometimes you're just not there. I think as a performer, sometimes I'm not quite fully present in my body. I'm worried about other stuff or something. And it's like, especially in improv, it's a team sport where we got to be connected. And if I am internal here, I'm not here for you. You're not able to like pass to me and we're not going to get shit done kind of. But I'd say like the biggest bombs in stand-up happen when someone just says something that is like unexpected, untoward, offensive in some way. Like, I think the biggest one I remember was here in this building at Gorilla Tango. I was with a group called Mahatma Blondie. That was my first improv group. And we were performing a show, and there's a nut called a Brazil nut that has a different name, an N-word toe. And one of our improvisers said it in a show, and it was just, I had never heard that term. And even if I had, it's like, whoa, we're all very white. I think it was all white audience even. Like, it doesn't matter even. But like
at an improv show? That's crazy.
Imagine that. But yeah, man, it just like the air was sucked out. I don't remember. It was so long ago. I don't remember how we recovered. But I have friends that were there, and to this day, like, we remember that. And I would almost argue it's like a very memorable moment because of that. As terrifying as it was, as offensive it could have been, like, it was a moment of the envelope was pushed further than anyone was ready. and it's memorable. And I don't know. I mean, there's a lesson in there for sure. It's like, oh, don't say that. but something about remembering something, I don't know. It says something about it in a good way, I want to say. I mean, there's traumas you remember in bad ways, but even then you're remembering it to prevent it or whatever, I imagine. But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, bombing is always an educational thing. Like, it feels so bad. It feels painful.
Yeah.
And that's why I think people are so afraid of, like, public speaking, and people are so afraid of trying stand-up or improv or comedy at all, or even drama, whatever. It's just they don't ever want to feel the way that feels bad. But it's not permanent, and you do learn from it, and you do get better. And you kind of learn to seek it out sometimes. Like, there's sometimes where if you get too comfortable, then what you need to be doing is you need to be pushing it and trying to get to the bomb so that you can learn something new and take something else away from it. But
it's like you said, it's like the worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to be kind of embarrassed for a bit of time. I get when we have a bad improv show that just doesn't feel right, I get the bad improv blues where I'm like, I don't want to go out after. I just go home and I'm like, shame on you. And it's just because I didn't people came out to paid money to see the show, and like I didn't give them what I feel was enough. And that's on my scale of like where it was enough, because people be like, that was a great show, and I'm like, no, it wasn't. You can't say that to someone, but yeah, the worst, that's the danger of our craft, I suppose. If you're playing sports, like, you might pull a muscle, and this is like, you might bomb. Like, it's like a mental brain tear, and some people will never come back from it. But it's like, you repair, you come back, and you're going to be stronger.
Yeah, that makes sense. What do you think, so you go home and you just kind of sit in it, but how do you recover from it? Like, how do you really get yourself back on the horse?
You just go, it doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah,
it doesn't,
really doesn't
matter. It doesn't matter. No one cares about it as much as you do, and yeah.
Have you ever bombed when it did matter?
I want to say yes.
Okay.
I want to say yes, but I can't think of it. Of course, I've done so many shows that, like, I have failed so many times, and those aren't fully bombs. My bombs are like, they don't feel like great shows, but like, yeah, I don't remember anything that sticks out. Have you had like one that is particularly painful, benefit show?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So there was a couple. I don't know. For some reason, it's like anytime that there's ever been like industry in the audience, like times in New York or whatever, those would be the times that I'd be nervous for the first time. Like, sure. I don't usually get very nervous when I do stand up. I should, if I cared about it. I do care about it.
It's both.
But it's one of those things where it's like I feel more uncomfortable just like making small talk at a party than I do being on stage in front of a big crowd of people. So when I get nervous about stand up, it's like, oh, something's not right or whatever, and then it usually means that I'll act weird on stage too. I did the same thing when I need a tape. Like, if I need a really good tape, I'll get on stage and I'm like, I've never said what I'm saying out loud right now. Why is this not going the way that it's gone every other time? And so
that's just you pulled away from the craft, right?
Yeah.
You're like you're not in the driver's seat of stand-up comedy. You're in the driver's seat of like Sarah's life.
Yeah, and so there'd be like I was thinking about this recently because Caitlin Palefo is one of my favorite comedians, and she and I would perform together often, and she's a brunette girl. So when we'd be on shows together, the quickest comparison would be like, I like that one brunette girl better than the other brunette girl. And I would get up on stage and I'd have my little like, notice that thing about the thing, and you guys see my girlfriend over there, kind of little jokes. And she is a powerhouse. So she, and there'd be times where she would go on right after me, and the second she'd get on stage, she would just be like murdering.
This is stand-up.
Yeah, and everybody would be like, that's right, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, like. It was just, it's like an easy way to like immediately compare yourself to somebody else, but
dangerous, yeah.
But it'd be in those times where I'd be like, I require maybe a little bit more subtlety, or maybe I wasn't ready to bring the full showmanshipness to whatever it was.
She's
and
just
then
doing it different.
Yeah, but then she'd be like,
and the comparison is weird next to each other. It's like chilies and I don't know, cantaloupe or something.
Yeah,
those are different.
Chili's the restaurant in Cantaloupe.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
The restaurant. Yeah, but I think there's a danger of that, and we can get into that about comparing ourselves to other people doing our craft, because like that is such a danger when you start mimicking someone else and being like, that's how they do it, and like that can get you to a certain point, but then you really got to get rid of that and be like, it's me, I'm the artist.
Who do you see people kind of imitate in improv?
We don't have a lot of idols in improv that are public. Wayne Brady, but I don't think I see that. When we do, I do know when we do Hoedown, I imitate Colin Mochree's
his rhythm
vocal
of it.
pattern. 100%. Because it's nice. It feels good. It feels it's like a cover. No, I don't think there's emulation of that, but there is emulation dangerously of stand-up, I think, in the improv. Or again, of like, there's so many social situations that get like, you know, it'll be like cheating and love triangles. Like, you cheated on me is like the most go-to weirdest, like conflict-driven. Because I think it's people's super giant insecurities in life. So like, can I explore this now? It's a safe space. So yeah, we get a lot of just like cliche shit, like sitcom-y situations where it's like, this is not at all relatable to your life.
When I took Improv 101 at UCB in New York, we had our like showcase and we did it, and immediately we go into a scene about like being on the subway and who's on the subway, and everybody takes a part of like being a subway person. Mm-hmm. And it went so well and the audience loved it, and we were like, oh my God, we're like improvising right now. This is great. And we got off stage, and our coach immediately was like, all right, well, you've got your one subway scene out of the way. I was like, no, like, you don't even
But
realize.
for you as a non-subway person, that was like pretty fresh and original for you and like real. But maybe it was cliche in New York.
It was for sure, yeah. But yeah, so you know, it's one of those things too. Like, and then that happens in stand-up also, where it's like people get up on stage and it's like, okay, well, you're doing your joke about how the first time you did comedy was like losing your virginity, and I'm glad you got that out of your system. So let's keep moving on.
Obvious or whatever. Mm-hmm. Yeah, first layer of the onion or whatever. Mm-hmm. When a stand-up bombs, like, whose fault is that? Is how much of it is the audience? Can it be the audience? Is it all on the performer? Like, can you, in theory, because sometimes I think this about improv is like, you can make it work, like with anyone. Like you fucked it up or you missed it, but like with even a one audience member, there's a world where you can do a perfect show for them if we read each other well. But like, so yeah, how's that in stand-up?
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting question because like the nice thing about improv is they always say like everything's a gift, and like you should always like there's no such thing as a bad improviser. Like you should be able to take everything and bounce off whatever anybody gives you. And in stand-up, that then translates just to being like directly in with the audience. So like you're never supposed to blame the audience. There's no such thing as a bad audience. It's just one that you weren't able to connect with or whatever. I don't. At this point now, I don't know how true that is, just because I'm cynical. Yeah. But also, I think like
I think in a perfect world, yes. Yeah. But it's not a perfect world. There's some
like,
shitheads out there that want to sabotage your show, probably, or like whatever. There's millions of people that are because they're not there either. Like you have to be there in good faith as like, I'm here to try to laugh. It's like a good conversation. You got to go into it ready to change, right? Or whatever. Yeah.
And it's so weird right now with the way comedy is, because I find that most people are coming to stand up by having seen a gazillion TikToks and reels and clips about it. And so they're like ready and raring to go with some crowd work. Like they want so badly to tell you like what their job is and how they met their significant other and like heckle to help. And
is that because so many TikToks are of crowd work?
Yeah. Right now, that's the easiest way. I mean, it's a very Matt Rife approach to comedy. So, like, getting some good crowd work and being able to show, like, you're a clever little guy, then putting that on the internet. People
improvisational like, skills, kind of, somewhat, which is
exactly
so interesting.
Right.
It's like, let me see how you shine with that aspect of that's not normally part of it, but is integral, right? Like, the improvisational connecting with the audience, riffing has really always been there. How much of that is the job? 50%?
I don't know if it's 50%, but it's also, I mean, if you look at it, when you're writing material, sometimes the people will spend an entire year working on a joke before they consider it even usable.
Yeah.
And then to just immediately throw it into a TikTok that may or may not do well burns that joke so fast, because then nobody wants to see it when you do it live.
Oh shit! Yeah, it's like why you don't release them. Like you keep a movie when it's doing its indie premieres or whatever. You don't like let it out.
Yeah,
because
and
you're workshopping it. Yeah, or like a play or whatever until you're ready. So yeah, you're ruining that. Also the thing about TikTok. When I was growing up, my mom always reminded me whose lines it anyway was so funny, but she was like, they've edited that. And it's kind of true. There's got to be some bomb scenes that are edited. Same thing with the TikTok is like, if you are just digesting TikTok videos of the fucking cream of the crop, best 20 seconds of people stand up, you're going to go into a show expecting 20 seconds
Bangers.
of solid every fucking, hits every time. And it's like, you're not. You need a lot of setup. Each comedian might have one of those if they're lucky. And that's the thing you saw or whatever. The climax.
And it's also interesting too, because when you think about like when I build a set, I build it the way like I would build like a playlist, where it's like you gotta start strong, you gotta end strong, and then the middle stuff can be kind of squishy. For a TikTok, it needs to be like strong, stronger, a little less strong. Like if you can keep people hanging on, strong. Yeah, like nobody cares about what's at the end, because most likely nobody stays on to the very end anyway.
Yeah.
Whereas
how long are these clips?
It depends.
Okay,
like
cool.
Sometimes there's like people who put up like whole sets
if
they want to, but like and then you just kind of check your numbers about like how long people are hanging on.
Oh, crazy.
I don't know.
Too much data, man.
It is
too much data.
It is.
Because then you're going to start to be like,
it changes
that
the art form.
right there in that joke, people got.
Which is, okay, so going back to what you had mentioned too about like how, okay, if you're going to put up crowd work, that means that you're basically showcasing how good you are at improv as a stand-up. Why isn't there more improv online?
I don't know. I mean, I think one would argue maybe it is so much about that magic of the space, of being here with you, feeling your body, and that's what makes it all happen. And it's like, it's just not as fun when you remove it. A stand-up joke, like you'll be at a bar and be like, oh, dude, I heard this stand-up joke, and repeat it because that's what it is. Whereas like the improv is the feel of everything, I think, for it to fully be like realized. Like there's like TikTok, there's that show, and like, what's it called?
Oh, the Game Changer. And
Game Changer, yeah. It's great, but that's like the only one out there, and that sticks. Like that does work in that format, but in general, yeah, I think it's a weirder, more folksy, oral tradition-y craft thing that like doesn't translate out as much.
It's so interesting to like take a herald and chop it up for parts. Like it's I don't even know if you could really do that because you need the stuff at the beginning for the end.
You need the whole thing, you know. And even again, you can't tell people like I saw a stand-up show and like there was a scene about it's already fuck you. Like I'm not following you. What, he had a hat? It doesn't matter. But he had a hat like because the hat was from the earlier scene.
Yeah.
It's all like a tapestry, and so to like take one little piece of it, I don't think works as well.
Yeah. Dang. Interesting.
Oh, well.
We're going to crack it for you.
Yeah,
we're going to make sure we ruin improv too. No, I don't. I think the internet is good. The internet is good for stand-up. If me saying bad things about the internet means that we don't do as well on the internet, I say it is good.
Fuck. Internet doesn't care.
Well, internet cares. Okay, cool. So last question about bombing, and then we'll move on to the last segment today. Is there any time that you felt yourself bombing that you've been able to like rescue yourself and get yourself out of it?
Yeah. So again, if like I can think about my stamp experience, but I think that's yours. I'm gonna think about my improv stuff, and it's like, yeah, I think we kind of have, but a lot of times it's hard. It's like when the show feels like a little molassesy, it's kind of on everyone to like tighten up and like take a breath, look at each other, and just check in. It's almost like calling a timeout, but we don't have time to call a timeout, so we have to like have some weird, I don't know. Sometimes when people know it's off and we all feel that, we can like recalibrate. But if one person doesn't know it's off, like it is a team sport, and like, yeah, we'll get through it. And again, it's okay, but it just feels icky in this weird way where you know you didn't do the thing. The thing about improv is when you do it right and you're fully connected with a person, you feel this energy and this truth to it. And I'm sure it's somewhere in Snap where it's like I can go through a scene and I can be funny, interesting, I can build a believable world and all that, but it's not satisfying for me as a performer, as an artist, because I didn't dig into any truth. And I just walked you through basically, I wrote a sketch. Yeah. And it's okay. It's an okay sketch and it's improvised, so you're going to give me credit for it. But if there's no truth in it, then I, as an artist, I'm not making art. I'm just like making faux art. And I don't know if you've ever felt that. I'm sure you can make a set of jokes that are not quite real to you and connected, and you could make people laugh, but you could be like, that wasn't really me doing my work.
Yeah, as a joke lie.
And so that's it. For me, like the bombing actually in those bad improv blues are less about, it's my perception of the audience feeling bad about it. But like I said, they said good show after. It's much more about me not feeling like I missed a chance to do what I love to do, which is like make some art, and I didn't make it. I made some fake stuff. I don't know.
That's so real.
Can you relate to that?
Yeah, I can relate to that, but yours is so much more real than my answer to this question. There's such a weird tension also. When the audience knows that you're bombing and stand-up, you can do a couple things to kind of get yourself out of it. One thing you can do, and I think people learn it really quickly, is to just call the room. I just feel like this is not going well.
Yeah.
Like, wow, you guys did not like that joke. You guys really don't like me? Maybe, like, you can really, but then what happens is sometimes you can just dig yourself a hole where, like...
Dig deeper.
Yeah, and you go, like, wow, you guys didn't like that one either. Guess that one was just for me. Oh my gosh, is this an audience or an oil painting? Or, like, whatever, you know. And then eventually the crowd unanimously will go, no, we don't like you. We don't like this. We don't like what you're putting us through. We don't like it. And
but if you can agree with them on that, if you can go, this sucks, right? This really sucks, bad. And they go, this does suck. We go, cool. At least we're all united on that.
And then ideally, you're like, here's a different one. Maybe you guys like dirty jokes. Maybe you guys like that. And then if you're able to maybe even call the room that way, sometimes that helps. And then sometimes they go, just tell the joke. Like they just want it. Then they just want it to go well, and they do not have patience. And sometimes, I've done. We'll get into this, I think, in the next segment too. But I've done shows in places where I am not the demographic of the place. And sometimes the audience is like, ooh, like a different perspective from the world. And then sometimes, like in Amarillo, Texas, they want to like chase me out of town. And so it's like, you gotta kind of adjust for that too. But sometimes especially when you're new and you only have the jokes that you have, adjusting is like outside. You can't do it. Like, you just have to keep going through this bomb and not be able to rescue it out, which is crazy. But
I mean, the last time I did stand-up, it was many years ago actually now, but like the last time I did it, I was not prepped in a sense, and I was like, I want to do this, and I'm going to bomb. Ooh. Like, I went in there. Mm-hmm. Have you done that?
Yeah,
I'm sure.
Yeah.
You're like, going to bomb today.
Do it.
And it was great.
Ah!
It was great because it was like I had expectations of failure, and then within that, there was the moments like, this is not going well, but it was like, it was not going well in the way that was planned. And again, similarly, I don't know, whatever. I don't remember exactly what happened. Fugue state when you sometimes do stand-up, but yeah, I remember it went better than it had been going when I like was okay with failure instead of trying to like to not fail. Yeah. To go into any sort of thing trying not to fail is not the right mindset. Maybe it's like if you want to do a thing, thinking about failing, like even you're bringing in the possibilities, the ideas. You're like manifesting possible failure instead of, I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's pretty profound. I was just thinking about that, and I was thinking that's probably the right way to approach almost everything.
Everything in life.
And then I was like tightrope walking. You can't be in there like, today I'm gonna fall off.
I'm gonna fall. But I mean, stilts. Like I learned how to do stilts, or like skating. Yeah. It's like you do want to learn how to fall a bunch of times on stilts, and once you learn how to fall, then the danger of stilts is gone. Yeah. The falling is gone. And I think similar with us, like learn to fail, learn to bomb a bunch of fucking times. Know what that feels like. So it doesn't hurt, so you're not terrified of it, so it's not the driving force of what you're doing. It's the love of the craft, not the fear of it.
If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a dodgeball.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Cantaloupe, whatever.
Yeah. Chilies. Mm-hmm. All right, let's go into the last segment. Hello, everybody, and welcome to segment 3. This is where we answer audience questions, take a look at our Patreon scoreboard, which you can find yourself at patreon.com/the Goofball Coalition podcast, and $1 a month puts your points up on the board. So as of today, we're at 0-0. That's okay. I know that there's some people out there with some strong feelings and $1 bill in their pocket, so I know that they can help us out with this. But we do have an audience question, and this one comes from Kelly, my wife, because she's an avid listener.
She was there, yeah.
Yeah. Where's the weirdest place you've ever performed?
The weirdest place I've ever performed was a female-centric gym chain called Curves.
Oh, wow.
We had a student that managed a Curves, and she thought improv was fun, and she asked us to come in. And I don't know if all Curves are like this, because I've only been to one Curves, but it's like a bunch of, there's like running like a treadmill and then like a rowing machine, and they're all in a circle, and they're all facing like the center. And every 10 minutes, 5 minutes, every 5 minutes, I'm going to say, I think it goes, change stations. And everyone swaps stations, and you keep going on that loop. And so she had us come in, and we did like a 30-minute set in the center. And there's normally like an off stage, but there's no off stage, so you had to like tuck between two ladies on a machine. And we'd be like, can we get a suggestion of a celebrity? And there'd be like a lady lifting weights. She'd be like, Brad Pitt. And we'd like do it. And they were like amused, but they can't really clap after when they're mid exercises, and super awkward, but it had to have been fine. They had to have enjoyed it more than nothing. Yeah. And we had a good time, and now I have a story. But yeah, that's the weirdest place I think I've ever performed was the Curves.
That's so fun to be like in the round.
It's super weird.
Oh, that's wild.
There was 8 things weird about it.
Yeah. It's like a sweaty panopticon where it's just like you're constantly being watched.
It's not the place. There was like no, sometimes you walk in a theater and you're like, oh, the energy in here. There's a feel in here. There's been laughter or whatever. It was like we had to work from like no magic, no energy. It was energy, or gym energy.
That's wild. I performed on the back of a tractor trailer.
Ooh.
In the South Valley.
Yes.
And it was for a political candidate. Like it was for a fundraising event for a political candidate. I can't even remember who it was. But I can tell you that Stephen Michael Casada was also there. Uh-huh. And he also performed on the back of a tractor trailer. So we're equal. And also, it was just such a... there's a couple rules about about stand-up that people talk about them all the time. Like, don't do it outside. Don't do it during the day. And like, there's just a couple other things like that kind of fall in that. And on the back of a tractor trailer, like at noon, was like maybe the most breaking of all rules for this. And so I'm there, and I'm so new in stand-up that it's one of those things, too, where it's like I cannot adjust. So it's like I can go like, what? This tractor trailer's crazy. But then it's also like, and thank you so much to the people whose house this is for donating the tractor trailer. Like, you have to be so gracious the whole time, too, and be like, and let's get out there. And
I'm thankful to be here in this not good position or whatever,
And I was so new, I had this joke about, like, if you're listening and you don't live in New Mexico, this is a landmark that's in New Mexico, but it's called Camel Rock, and it's a rock that looks like a camel. That's like literally all it is. But
super cool.
My joke was like, how did the like indigenous people here know what a camel looked like?
Oh yeah,
like,
yeah.
You know, it's
just
like
a white name.
Yeah, it's a regular local joke. And then I kind of like just limp through my performance, and I get off stage, and I'm like, can I please go home? And then Stephen Casada gets up on stage, and he's like, Sarah, great job. I had a joke like that, and then he like proceeds to do the exact joke. And then he had a much funnier tag for it, and then a much funnier thing, and then everybody was like falling over themselves because he was on TV and loved him. And he's like, I mean, he's been part of like Albuquerque and the community here for so long that of course they were there to see him. And they were like, well, let this girl up before. But I just remember being like, oh no, like I wish.
That's crazy.
I wish I could have been taken home on a tractor trailer. Actually, but at that point I was so, it made me feel awful. But.
Yeah. We did, speaking of, you can't do improv, I don't think, outside in the daylight, but we did improvised Shakespeare at a Shakespeare festival in the daytime, and it was great, but it was like, it's asking a lot to have an audience try to like listen and hear your made up Shakespearean, like it's garbled beyond, it's like layers and layers of complexity. That was not a good idea.
I mean, I guess even in a situation like that, I'm lucky to have like a microphone, because that's something that y'all don't really
We've done it with, or even like a Britney mic, and it's like, it's just not, again, the same to be like, hi mother, and it's like echoing all over. It's an intimate art form, and it's like, maybe that's going, again, back to it. It's like, it's hard to take it out of what it is sometimes.
Yeah, interesting. All right, well, Alex, what do you got going on this week? What do you got going on?
So this weekend, since way before this is released, I do have a show this weekend, but we'll be past. But every Friday and Saturday at 8 o'clock, the show at The Box is performing. And the last Thursday of every month, we have an open improv jam at 7 at our theater, which is Second and Gold. So come check that out if you're at all interested in dabbling. It's a perfect place if you're a stand-up and you hear this to come, dip your toes in. But that's about it for me. What about you?
Cool. So we have shows every Friday and Saturday at Dry Heat Comedy Club on 6th Street between Central and Copper in Albuquerque. We've got crazy amazing people coming in from out of town, and we've got some opportunities for some local people here to do some of their first headlining sets coming up too. So lots of excitement going on over there. And we do open mics. If you're an improviser and you're listening to this and you want to try stand-up, we run the open mics on Thursday and Friday every week over at Echoes Brewery, which is on Gold Street between 3rd and 4th. So come and check those out. There's also a million open mics here in town. There's one every single day of the week, and you can find out more information about that by going to albuquerquecomedy.com. But y'all, that's been the Goofball Coalition for this week. So please, if you aren't doing it yet, please subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, rate, review. That helps us and helps other people find us. And then follow us on Instagram. We're Goofball Coalition Pod there. We're on YouTube. We're all over the place. Wherever you want us to be, we'll go. And then also ask us questions so we can answer questions that come from other people than my wife. So,
thank you.
Yeah, bye.